Themes of geography: place and physical and human characteristics. Okay, so here we go. This is a real short one. It deals with place, so let's get in here and knock it out. All right, so when we're talking about the theme of place, place is one of the 5 themes of geography. The main thing that I want you guys to take away from place is that the theme of place, it addresses what is someplace like, right? It addresses what someplace is like. So if you take a look at the graphics that I have on the screen, the top one is of Antarctica and the bottom one is of a swamp. What can we see that these places are like? Well, just by taking a look at the cursor, we can see Antarctica looks pretty cold, looks pretty frigid, looks pretty dry. Doesn't look like anywhere I want to be. I do not know about you guys. Then when we take a look at the bottom one of the swamp, what is it like in the swamp? Looks to be pretty hot. Looks to be pretty humid. A lot of plant life. So that is the questions that I answered when we go into place. Also, what we want to make sure that you understand is that the theme of place, it considers everything that goes into making a place unique. It makes one location unique, and the characteristics that cause one location on Earth to be different than all other locations on Earth. There are 2 ways that geographers describe place. And it goes pretty much with the same way we describe geography, right? There are 2 types of geography, and there are 2 ways that we use to describe place. And that is physical and human, right? So every place has a personality. So if you guys think about everything, if you think back to your middle school had a personality. Whether or not it was, I don't know, I've been to a couple of middle schools, and it was, when I went there, it seemed to always be moving, seemed to be very orderly, seemed to be a lot of little people moving very quickly around places. But that was the characteristic to me of your middle school. And I'm sure that you guys have your own characteristics of it. But think about EA. Think about where you are now and how that is different from your middle school. Those differences, the differences between EA and Central, or the differences between EA and Gonzales, GMS, or Galvez Middle, or wherever you attended middle school last year, or Parkview, that is the difference. That is place. The differences in the different locations. That is what place is. For example, this is, even though 2 places are similar, right? No 2 places are alike. If you just take a look at this picture, this is the Statue of Liberty. I know all of you guys are familiar with the Statue of Liberty. This Statue of Liberty is in New York. But I will show you another graphic. Bam! This is also the Statue of Liberty. And if you notice behind this Statue of Liberty, it is actually located, this is the Eiffel Tower. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that, the Eiffel Tower is located in France. 2 statues. 2 major cities, but different, right? They're different. And just for you guys, a little history lesson. The Statue of Liberty, the original Statue of Liberty, was a gift to the United States from France. The original scaled version of the Statue of Liberty is actually in Paris. So before they built the one in the United States, they built a smaller version to make sure, to see what it looked like. That is actually kept in France. So when we talk about the human characteristics of a place, what exactly do we mean? And this is pretty simple, right? We talk about things, taking a look at this graphic, like religion. This graphic is a graph of a lot of different religions in the world. We see Buddhism, okay. Buddhists, we see Christians, Confucians, Judaism, Islamic, Sikh, Shintos. Human characteristics. All of these are human characteristics. Religion, language, political beliefs. So that is what I want you to put down under human characteristics in your notes guide. Religion, language, political beliefs. And now let's take a look at the physical characteristics of a place. This graphic will give you a good idea with the physical characteristics as well as this one. What we mean about physical characteristics. it's everything in your environment. So physical characteristics, write this down. Physical characteristics can be landforms, climate, soil, bodies of water, vegetation, anything in nature that is naturally occurring. Now, the human characteristics of a place, when we talk about that, where exactly does that come from? They actually come from us. They come from us, the human beings that live in that place. They come from our ideals and our actions and how we interact with a particular location. Do we build bridges? When we come to a new city or when we come to an undeveloped land, what do we do? Do we build bridges there? Do we build subdivisions? Do we build homes? Do we build police stations? Do we build zoos? How exactly do we as humans, what type of imprint do we put on a place? Now, the human characteristics of our place can also include land use, the density of the population. And when we say density of the population, that means how many people are actually living in an area. If you take Gonzales or Ascension Parish for an example, earlier, I think in the last video, there are about 263 people per square mile. That means per square mile, on average, we have 263 people. If you contrast that with the island of Manhattan, there are over 1 million people per square mile. So the fact of the amount of people that you have living within a square mile, that is a human characteristic of an area. Language patterns, religion, architecture, and political systems. Political systems is big. Political systems are very big. Political systems are big. We'll see that when we study the different regions around the world and we start studying the different countries around the world. We will see how their political systems affect everything. Now, some of the different physical characteristics of a place, they make up the environment, but they also come from different things. They come from nature, right? They come from, when we say geological, that means they come from the land. They can come from water. They can come from the air, and they can come from natural biological processes. So let me read it the way that it says on the notes. The physical characteristics of a place make up its natural environment and are derived from geological, hydrological, atmospheric, and biological processes. What exactly does that mean? I just hit you with like a bunch of big words, right? The only thing that it means is this. Our surroundings, nature, whether it's our land, our water, the type of air we breathe, or the way that we as people interact, or the animals in that area, that has a lot to do with the human characteristics. Now, also, these human characteristics can include landforms, bodies of water, climate, the type of soils, natural vegetation, and animal life. And these are just some examples. If you take a look at these graphs, there's some of the different human and physical characteristics of areas. Taking a look at my cursor, you see this is kind of a swamp area. Based on the swamp area, this is the type of animal that you would not be uncommon to find this animal living in this area. So for some examples from types of places. There are many, many different types of examples of places, but I'll give you a few for your notes. So make sure that you guys have this written down. One example on types of place. The first, you can have places that are very densely packed. Remember earlier I mentioned that it's in Ascension Parish that we have about 263 people per square foot. But in places like Tokyo, Chicago, New York, Hollywood, these places are very densely packed. You can have millions of people living within a square mile of one another. So the first one is this. The first dot for your notes are this. This is what I want you to write. There are densely settled places all over the world like Tokyo, Chicago, and Los Angeles. So this is an example. Tokyo, Chicago, and Los Angeles are examples of places around the world that are densely populated. Now, they're quite the opposite. Number 2 will address the second point on your notes. I want you to, for examples of places, is represented by this picture. There are also places on the earth that are virtually uninhabited. So there are also places on the earth that are virtually uninhabited. For example, Antarctica. So for number 2, you should have that there are places on the earth that are pretty much uninhabited. Virtually uninhabited, and an example of this place would be, these types of places would be Antarctica. And going down to number 3, there are places in the world that are very rainy, as represented by this graphic. This is a rainforest or a forest area. So number 3, there are rainy places in the world, such as the rainforests of the Amazon and the Sahara, and the Amazon, the Congo, and Washington State. So number 3, I want you to put that there are very rainy places in the world, places that receive a lot of rain, such as the Amazon, the Congo, and Washington State. And the last one, let's go back. And the last one I would like you to write down for places, number 4. There are very dry places in the world, such as the Mojave Desert, the Sahara Desert, and there are also different places that are represented where English, Spanish, Hindu, or French are the prevailing language. But the last one, so what I want you to write down for the last one, that there are also very, very dry places in the world, like the different deserts in the world, and where people speak different languages. Okay, this is the end. This was a pretty short one on places. Please do not write anything in the black box if there is one. We will take care of that in class. Have a good evening.